The New York Jets have a golden opportunity ahead of them right now, and this will have fans split because the Jets have a bunch of team needs right now, and with the draft coming up, one of them consistently gets highlighted as a first-round need for the Jets, and no, it is not quarterback. We've obviously done a lot of talking about the quarterback position. We are going to have more of that, but there are a lot of other positions that the Jets need to fill. There's a lot of talk about defensive backs, wide receivers. There's a ton of areas that the Jets ultimately do need to get better at, and one of them certainly is that receiving position, something that often does get connected to the Jets and is mentioned as a consistent spot for the Jets to look at with that 16th overall draft pick that they're holding on to right now. There's been a few different wide receivers mocked to them. The most common one is Makai Lemon, and we will talk about Lemon a little bit in this video as well because he does have an impact on things, but we're not going to waste any time, guys, because look, right now, the 49ers GM John Lynch said it's fair to say that Brandon Ayiuk will not be back in San Francisco next season. Now, stick with me here, because I know a lot of people are going to see Brandon Ayiuk and think, dude, no, why are we going down this pathway right now? We saw the way that he reacted. We've seen the fact that he hasn't played football in, a year and a half at this point, and it'll be basically 2 years the next time he steps on a field. So obviously there's going to be some pushback on a move like this, but because the lack of value right now, and basically when we just look at kind of the reactions, we'll get back to Kyle Shanahan and the numbers and everything, but when we look at the fact that he's not going to be back in San Francisco, the fact that he's got no value right now on the trade market, this opens up an opportunity for the Jets to land a very talented player while also not having to focus on a need as much in the draft. There's a lot more to go over on this as well, but before we get into all the news today, we're proud to announce this video is brought to you by Kalshi, and if you download it using the link below and put in the code DIGESTNFL, you will get $20 when you trade your first 100. Now, Kalshi, it's the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes/no on real-life events, whether that's the news, sports, the weather, elections, and pretty much everything. And whether you're in New York, California, Texas, or anywhere across the country, Kalshi is live in all 50 states. Now, this is great for sports fans as you can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. Now, this is excellent for sports fans, especially because the NFL playoffs are officially here and there is a lot of movement going on right now. And if you trade on Seattle, who has 20% of trades on them to win the Super Bowl with former Jets quarterback Sam Darnold, you will get $45 in return. Now, this is an excellent trade and one that I'm super interested in because the Seahawks look absolutely excellent right now. They have got a great defense and Sam Darnold has been doing a phenomenal job. And guys, if you want to get in on the action and get that $20 when you trade your first 100, put in code DIGESTNFL. Thank you to Kalshi, but guys, let's get into the video. We have a lot to go over. Now look, when we just sort of go over everything with a move like this, there's obviously going to be a lot of pushback, and Bill Barnwell did talk about the Aiyuk situation, saying the 49ers were in a position to land a second-round pick for him in 2024 and wanted to get something in return for him last offseason. But it would be surprising if they were able to get anything more than a conditional pick for Aiyuk now. The 49ers were in a position to get that second-round pick for him, so the fact is that that entire thing was doubled. But at the same time, if you go back, you will see it's just twice over. My bad. But look, when we look at everything covering Brandon Aiyuk right now, obviously, I get it. There's been some questions about how he is as a player, and Kyle Shanahan saying the last time he spoke to Brandon Aiyuk was a while ago, saying, I'd say the last time that it stopped for me was when I tried to get a hold of him and couldn't. Tried a couple more times and couldn't, and that matched everyone else who tried to get a hold of him and couldn't. There's not much of an explanation because it's hard for us and anyone else to understand. That's why it's something I've never seen in 22 years of coaching. So obviously, Aiyuk has been kind of MIA from the Niners, which doesn't bode well, but he is a good player, and we do have to remember the fact that he has been a good player for a good chunk of his career. I mean, when we look at Aiyuk, since coming into the NFL, he's been effective, especially in 2023 when he had an excellent year. I mean, the man had 75 receptions, 1,342 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He was really, really good. There's no doubting the fact that he was an excellent wide receiver in 2023. Obviously, we're talking now about the 2026 season. He played 7 games in 2024 after holding out for a contract, and because he didn't get time to warm up, he ended up tearing his ACL. He has not played since then, missed the entirety of this season, didn't seem interested in playing for the 49ers, and now here we are. Aiyuk will be 28 years old the next time he steps on a football field. In theory, he should be in the prime of his career, and in theory, we hear the siren behind us, and hopefully he won't be in that ambulance, and he could be healthy. If the Jets were to go for this, they would give up nothing. At the same time, they would also be in a very good situation to really just have to not address the wide receiver position early in the draft. It's not that I don't like these rookie receivers coming in. I think there's a lot to like about Mekhi Lemon. I think there's a lot to like about Denzel Boston. I think if you kind of wait for the second round as well, I like Brazel. I think there are a few good names here that we really could look at. Obviously, if the Jets wanted to pick Carnell Tate second overall, they could. Would I do that? Absolutely not. I think having Garrett Wilson and having the option to pick a wide receiver later makes a lot more sense when the Jets could get Narvell Reese, who I do expect to be their pick when just basically every mock draft is saying that right now, based on the fact that Reese is probably the best player in the draft overall. Obviously, Mendoza's going first, though, because, quarterback, the importance of all that stuff. But look, as mentioned by JPA Football, it's one of the worst contracts ever. The Niners gave Brandon Ayiuk $76 million guaranteed in his contract extension, where he only had 374 receiving yards for them, and he took the money and ran. But here's the thing. The Jets would not have to pay that whole contract. There's no way the 49ers are trading Brandon Ayiuk and not having to eat some of that money. They're just going to. They understand that that's the reality of the situation, but they want him off their team. They see him as just a body who's not going to show up, who's not going to play, who's not going to help them win, and who's not going to help the team in any sort of way whatsoever. If anything, he's just going to harm them, so they might as well get rid of him. Now, if the Jets were able to get the Niners to take some more money off the contract and give like a 6th round pick, I would do that, if I'm being honest. I mean, look, the 6th round pick, obviously, it's not a good draft pick. It's not really gonna, you're not gonna run around and be like, oh, we got a 6th. But the Niners, it'd be better than what they would. It's better than the alternative if they want a better draft pick out of it. At the same time, they might say no and say, just give us a conditional pick. We want to pay him as little money as we can, even though we know we're eating some of that salary. We know it's just a deal breaker. There's no team that would ever go out and take Brandon Ayiuk on his full contract and take all of that off of the Niners' hands. That would be ridiculous. Now, Emmanuel Aiko did mention a couple of weeks back that Brandon Ayuk's teammate, Kendrick Bourne, says they haven't seen him in 2 months. He said, all I can do is pray for him. We ain't seen him in 2 months. So, obviously, things have hit a very weird point when we look at everything. When we look at the fact that Aiyuk is on a massive contract for a while longer, it's kind of hard to imagine that a bunch of teams are going to be jumping in for him, even with the Niners eating some of that money. So this is where the Jets can come in. This is where the Jets show up and basically say, hey, we'll take him. We need a wide receiver. Might not be the best veteran presence, and I know the Jets want to build a culture, and that does have a big impact on this. But at the same time, if the Jets do want to add as many good players as possible, this feels like a chance where it's like, let's try to revamp this guy's career, get him back on the field, get him in a new system, in a completely new locker room across the country. Let's see if we can kind of salvage this guy. I mean, I imagine Brandon Ayiuk, I know he's got that guaranteed money, so he's pretty good already, but I imagine he wants to get as much out of that contract as possible. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's happy with his guaranteed money and is going to sit there and not going to want to play football anymore. But I do imagine he still wants to. You can't be getting a 1,300 yard season and not want it. It's just impossible. I don't see a world where someone could be so not competitive and have that much success at the NFL in any sort of level at all. So honestly, I do think it's a good move. I really do think it makes a lot of sense for the Jets right now, especially because, again, my drafts do have the Jets, for the most part, taking a wide receiver at 16th. A move I don't mind. I would love the Jets to add another top-tier wide receiver, whether that's a Denzel Boston, a Mekhi Lemon. I would like the idea of it. Right here, Denzel Boston was mentioned. And it said, with the Jets likely to look to free agency or the trade market to fix their quarterback situation, finding the right players for their offense in the draft becomes even more important. Boston could be the perfect partner for Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, coming off a season in which he earned an 89.3 PFF receiving grade against man coverage and caught 76.9% of his contested targets. It does make sense that the Jets would obviously want another top-tier wide receiver, but when you're looking at the situation where it feels like the Jets are going to try to pick Ty Simpson, I don't think they're going to die on the Ty Simpson hill, but it feels like they're going to try to take him potentially at 16th. Maybe they think they can wait till 33rd, and if they don't, they'll look towards Trinidad Chambliss or, maybe Carson Beck. Like, there's options out there that wouldn't shock me as well if the Jets did wait for 33rd overall to take a quarterback. But overall, to kind of help the wide receiver situation, and I'm not saying Denzel Boston's going to be bad or any of these wide receivers, but there always is that chance that you end up drafting a guy who just doesn't have it at the NFL level and turns out to be a bust. In that situation, we know Aiyuk could be as well. We know there's more money on him, but at the same time, it covers a need, and the Jets can then look to other areas as well to try to fix this team. They need another cornerback. Jermond McCoy is one of my favorite players in this draft right now, so I think that's a good move. If you go all defense in the first round, I'm not going to be upset about it, if I'm being completely honest. I want to see the Jets fix this thing, and I do think overall that adding a player that you could try to revamp the career might not be the worst idea for the Jets right now, especially because at the end of the day, he's been good before, and you get another weapon for whichever quarterback will be behind center next year for the Jets. How do you feel about this, guys? I imagine the reception's going to be more negative than positive, but let me know how you feel about this idea. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you hate me? Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great, great, great day. Go Jets forever.